You think death is the worst thing that can happen in the wasteland? Let me tell you something. I've been rotting alive for 213 years, watching my humanity flake away piece by piece while my body refuses to die. My name is Sarah, and I'm about to tell you what really happens when radiation doesn't kill you, when it does something much, much worse. You want to know what it's like? To be one of us? To be a ghoul? Imagine watching everyone you love grow old while you never die. Their hair turns grey, their backs bend, their voices crack with age. And you stay exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same. You rot, slowly, piece by piece, year after year, but you never, ever die. My name was Sarah. Was, I suppose. It still is, though most people just call me smooth skin now. Their little joke, you see, because my skin is anything but smooth anymore. I've been recording this confession, I suppose you'd call it, because someone needs to know. Someone needs to understand what we really are, what the radiation really did to us, before I go feral, before my mind finally slips away like so many others before me. I was 23 when the bombs fell. October 23rd, 2077. I remember the sirens. God, those sirens. They started wailing at 9:47 in the morning, and within 2 hours, everything I'd ever known was ash and radioactive. Glass. But I didn't die. That's the first thing you need to understand about ghouls. We're the ones who should have died but didn't. You see, when those nuclear warheads detonated, they didn't just destroy cities. They rewrote the rules of biology itself. The radiation, it does things to human tissue that science before the war could never have predicted. Most people exposed to that much radiation, they die within hours. Their cells break down, their organs liquefy, their DNA unravels like a cheap sweater. But some of us, maybe 1 in 10,000, we had something different. A genetic quirk, a mutation that was already there, sleeping in our genes, waiting. The transformation doesn't happen all at once. That's another thing people get wrong. They see us now, 200 years later, and they think we always looked like this, like corpses that forgot to stop moving. But it took time, decades. First, it was the hair. Within weeks of the bombs, every strand fell out. I remember standing in what was left of my bathroom, running my fingers through my scalp and watching clumps come away like dead grass. Then came the skin. It started with a roughness, like a bad sunburn that never healed. The texture changed, became leathery, then papery, then something else entirely. Something that doesn't have a word, because healthy human skin never becomes what ours became. You learn to avoid mirrors after a while, not because of vanity. Vanity dies quick in the wasteland, but because seeing yourself change that slowly is a special kind of torture. Every morning, you're a little less human than you were the night before. Every year, another piece of who you were flakes away like old paint. But here's the truly horrifying part. We feel everything. Our nerves, they don't die. They change, mutate, but they keep working. Every inch of exposed muscle, every bit of tissue that used to be protected by skin, we feel it all. The wind hurts, clothing hurts, sometimes just existing hurts, and we heal. God help us, we heal. Slowly, wrongly, but we heal. Cut a ghoul, and the wound closes. Break our bones, and they knit back together. We're walking violations of everything medical science said was possible. The radiation that created us also sustains us. We don't age normally anymore. Our cells are locked in a constant state of decay and regeneration, powered by background radiation that would kill a normal human. In minutes, we can walk through radiation storms that would melt the flesh from your bones. We can drink water so irradiated it glows, and it actually makes us feel better. We're living Geiger counters, walking reminders of humanity's greatest mistake. I've met other ghouls over the years. Gob, poor Gob, stuck tending bar in Megaton, serving drinks to smoothskins who treat him like he's contagious. They make him sleep in the supply closet. Not even a bed, just a mattress on the floor between crates of liquor. He tells me he's grateful just to have work, just to have a purpose. That's what 2 centuries of abuse does to you, makes you grateful for scraps. Then there's Hancock. Now there's a different story. He chose this. Can you imagine? He took an experimental radiation drug before the war, turned himself into one of us on purpose. Says it was about understanding suffering, about solidarity with the oppressed. Most days I think he's insane. Other days I understand it. When the whole world treats you like a monster anyway, sometimes it's easier to just become one. But I need to tell you about the worst part. The thing we don't talk about, even among ourselves. The thing that keeps us awake during those long, endless nights when sleep won't come because our bodies don't really need it anymore. We're losing ourselves. Every ghoul knows about going feral. It's not an if, it's a when. The radiation that keeps us alive is also slowly cooking our brains. Neural pathways deteriorate, memories fade, personality erodes like shoreline against endless waves. One day, you forget your mother's name. Next, you can't remember what coffee tasted like. Then you forget language itself. Forget that you were ever human at all. I've seen it happen too many times. Watched friends, people I survived the apocalypse with, slowly slip away. First, they get confused, start repeating themselves, then comes the aggression, the paranoia. They stop recognizing faces, even ones they've known for decades. The last stage? They're just animals, shambling, moaning things that attack anything with a pulse. Still immortal, still unable to die, but trapped in bodies their minds can no longer control. The scholars, what few we have left, they think the process is related to radiation exposure and neural degradation. The same energies that preserve our bodies destroy our minds. It's poetry, in the cruelest possible way. We're granted centuries of life, but we spend them knowing that eventually, inevitably, we'll become the very monsters everyone already thinks we are. Some of us try to fight it. Mental exercises, journals, anything to keep the mind sharp. I knew a ghoul in Underworld. That's our city, our refuge in the DC ruins, who recited Shakespeare every morning. 8 hours straight, every play, he could remember. He said it kept the fog at bay. Last I heard, he was wandering the metro tunnels, attacking anything that moved, still quoting Hamlet between the screams. You want to know the real tragedy? We remember what it was like to be human. That's the cruelest joke of all. We remember taste, real taste, not the ash and copper that everything becomes. We remember touch that didn't hurt. We remember being able to cry. Our tear ducts don't work anymore. Did you know that? We can feel sorrow so deep it threatens to crack what's left of our souls. But we can't cry. The tears just won't come. And we remember love, physical love. That's gone too. The radiation doesn't just change how we look, it changes everything. We can feel affection, longing, even desire in an abstract way. But the physical capability, gone, burned away with everything else. Try explaining that to someone who still sees you as the person you used to be. Try watching their face when they realize what you've lost. But here's something the smoothskins don't understand. We still form communities. We still care for each other. In Underworld, in Gecko, in all the little ghoul settlements scattered across the wasteland, we've built something. Not paradise. Nothing in this irradiated hell could be called that, but something human, or as close to human as we can manage. We share resources. We protect each other. When someone starts showing signs of going feral, we take care of it, quick and clean, before they lose themselves completely. It's a mercy we give each other, knowing someone will do the same for us when our time comes. There's a lottery system in Underworld. Every ghoul draws a number when they arrive. When someone starts to turn, the next 3 numbers up are responsible. 1 to confirm, 1 to do it, 1 to remember who they were. We call them the shepherds. The wasteland teaches you that there are worse things than death. We're living proof of that. But it also teaches you that even in the deepest horror, there's still choice, still dignity if you fight for it, still meaning if you make it. The first time I killed a feral, it was someone I knew, Thomas Brennan. We'd worked in the same office building before the war. He was an accountant 3 floors up, spent 2 decades together in the ruins of Boston, scavenging, surviving, slowly, watching each other rot. He had this laugh, even after the change, dry, rattling, like bones in a cup, but still unmistakably his. He used to tell the worst jokes, puns mostly, said humor was the only thing the radiation couldn't take from us. The radiation took it anyway. I found him in a subway station 6 months after he'd disappeared. He was crouched over someone, making these wet, tearing sounds. When he looked up at me, there was nothing in his eyes, nothing, just hollow, milky white orbs that looked through me like I wasn't there. Blood, fresh blood, dripped from what was left of his jaw. He lunged at me, screaming this wordless animal shriek, and I put a bullet through his skull. The worst part? For just a second, right before he died, I swear I saw recognition flicker in those dead eyes. Just a flash of Thomas, trapped inside his own corpse, aware of what he'd become. Then nothing. That's what waits for all of us. Every single one. You smoothskins, you fear death. We fear something much worse. The slow dissolution of self while our bodies keep walking. Scientists before the war had a term for it. Cognitive cascade failure. The radiation doesn't just preserve our bodies. It fundamentally alters brain chemistry. Neurons fire differently. Synapses that should die keep sparking with radioactive energy. The brain literally cooks itself from the inside out, one thought. At a time, I've studied it. God knows I've had the time. 213 years gives you plenty of opportunity to become an expert on your own degradation. The process typically starts in the hippocampus. That's where memories form. Then it spreads to the temporal lobes, eating away at language and recognition. The frontal lobe goes last. That's personality, reasoning, everything that makes you, you. By then, you're just a walking appetite wrapped in radioactive flesh. Some ferals retain habits, muscle memory from their human days. I've seen ferals trying to open doors they used to walk through, standing at bus stops that haven't seen a bus in 2 centuries, going through the motions of their old lives like broken recordings. There's a feral in DC who still wears the remnants of a mail carrier uniform. Every day at noon, he walks the same route. No mail, no purpose, just the ghost of routine burned into what's left of his brain. But let me tell you about the ones that disturb me most. The glowing ones. Take a ghoul, expose them to even more radiation, the kind you find in nuclear craters, reactor cores, the ground zeros where bombs actually hit. Most of us would finally, mercifully die, but some absorb it, become it. They glow with radioactive phosphorescence, walking nuclear reactors that poison everything around them. They're almost always feral, thank God, but there's something beyond even that. They can emit radiation bursts that heal other ghouls while cooking humans alive. They're living weapons, atomic ghosts that shouldn't exist. I saw one once in the glowing sea. That's what they call the crater where the biggest bomb hit, southwest of Boston. It used to be a woman, I think. Hard to tell when the skin glows green and the bones shine through like X-rays. She moved wrong, joints bending in ways that should have snapped tendons, head rotating too far like an owl. When she screamed, it wasn't sound. It was radiation itself, a wave of death that killed everything green for 30 feet. The plants just withered, turned black and crumbled to ash. She was pregnant when she changed. You could see it, the small skeleton inside, her glowing belly, forever frozen at maybe 7 months, both of them preserved in atomic fire, neither truly alive nor properly dead. I ran. What else could I do? Some things are too horrible to fight, too tragic to witness. That image burns in my mind worse than any radiation ever could. The smooth skins think we don't feel pain. They see us take bullets, lose limbs, survive things that would kill them instantly, and they assume we're numb. Let me correct that misconception. We feel everything. Pain receptors don't die when you ghoulify. They mutate. They become something else, something worse. Normal pain has a purpose. It tells you to stop, to heal, to protect yourself. Our pain, it just is. Constant, purposeless, like background static turned up to 11. You learn to function through it, the way you might learn to sleep through gunfire after enough years in the wasteland, but it never goes away, never lessens. Your body is simultaneously dying and regenerating every second of every day, and you feel both processes, cells screaming as they decay, nerves firing as they regrow wrong. There's a ghoul in California, Calls. Himself Set runs a town called Gecko. He's pre-war like me, but he was closer to a blast. Half his skull is exposed, polished white by sand and centuries. He told me once that he can feel every grain of dust that lands on the exposed bone. Feel the temperature changes, the pressure shifts when weather fronts move through. His brain is partially visible through cracks in the skull, grey matter pulsing with each heartbeat. He's been like that for 200 years, still conscious, still leading, still feeling every second of it. We've tried everything to understand what we are. The scientists among us, yes, we have those too, have theories. The radiation doesn't just mutate our DNA, it fundamentally rewrites it. Creates new proteins, new cellular structures that shouldn't be possible. We're not dead. Extensive testing confirms that. But we're not alive in any way science used to recognize. We exist in some horrible middle ground, a biological paradox that proves the universe has a sadistic sense of humor. Hancock once said something that stuck with me. The problem with being a ghoul isn't the radiation, or the looks, or even going feral. It's the remembering. He's right. We remember the world before. Shopping malls and coffee shops, green grass and blue skies without that sick yellow tinge. We remember our families, though they're all dust now. We remember being children, though childhood is a concept that died with the bombs. I remember my daughter, Emily, 6 years old when the bombs fell. She was at school. They had a field trip that day to the Museum of Natural History. I never found her, never found the school, never found the museum. That whole part of the city was just gone, vaporized. She died instantly, they tell me, painlessly. I've had 2 centuries to think about that, to turn it over in my mind like a smooth stone. 2 centuries to wonder if instantly and painlessly are just words we tell ourselves to make the unbearable bearable. Some ghouls lose themselves in chem abuse, jet, psycho, buff out, anything to feel different, even if it's worse. The drugs barely work on us anymore. Our metabolisms are too corrupted, but we try anyway. There's a ghoul flophouse in Freeside where they chase sensation like normal humans chase caps. They inject Med-X directly into exposed muscle tissue, trying to feel something other than the constant burn of existence. Most of them are halfway to feral already. Maybe that's the point. Maybe they're trying to speed up the process, to lose themselves before they have to watch it happen. But here's the thing about ghoul society that outsiders never see. We police our own, brutally, when necessary. A ghoul goes feral in a human settlement. Every ghoul for miles feels that failure. We know what it means. More fear, more discrimination, more shoot-on-sight policies. So we watch each other, look for signs. The confused repetition, the forgetting of names, the moments where the eyes go blank for just a little too long. In Underworld, we have tests, weekly cognitive assessments. Can you count backward from 100 by 7s? Can you remember the 3 words I told you at the beginning of our conversation? Can you still read? Still write your name? Fall below the threshold and the shepherds come calling. It's harsh, but it's survival. Not just our survival, everyone's. The irony is that stress accelerates the process. Fear, anger, trauma, they all speed up neural degradation. So the more we worry about going feral, the faster it happens. It's a feedback loop designed by the devil himself. Stay calm and you might get an extra decade. Panic and you could turn in months. We're all walking a tightrope over an abyss, trying not to look down. I'm starting to forget things myself. Little things at first. The name of my street before the war. What my husband's cologne smelled like. Whether Emily preferred chocolate or vanilla ice cream. Each memory that slips away feels like another piece of my humanity crumbling off, falling into the radioactive dust that covers everything in this dead world. Last week, I couldn't remember my maiden name for 3 hours. It came back, Morrison, but those 3 hours were the longest of my unnatural life. I sat in my room in Underworld, staring at my hands, watching the exposed tendons flex and trying to remember who I was before I became this thing. When the name finally surfaced, I wrote it down 17 times, as if repetition could nail it permanently into my rotting brain. There's a ghoul here named Murphy. He was a scientist before the war, worked on something called FEV, the forced evolutionary virus. He says the virus and radiation sometimes interact in ways nobody predicted, create things that shouldn't exist. Supermutants are one result. Humans dipped in FEV vats, turned into massive green-skinned brutes with room temperature IQs. But sometimes, when a ghoul gets exposed to FEV, Murphy won't tell me exactly what happens. His eyes go distant when I ask, and he mutters about failed experiments and necessary sacrifices. But I've heard rumors. Ghouls who regenerate even faster, whose feralism becomes something else, directed, intelligent malevolence instead of mindless aggression. They call them reavers on the West Coast. Even other ferals run from them. The truth is, we don't really know what we're becoming. Evolution doesn't stop just because the world ended. The radiation keeps working on us, keeps changing us. Each generation of ghouls, yes, we measure time in generations now, is slightly different. The ones who turned in the first days after the bombs are different from those who turned a decade later, and the ones turning now, exposed to second-hand radiation and mutated water supplies. They're something else entirely. I met a ghoul last year who'd only been turned for 6 months. The process was faster for him, more violent. His transformation took weeks instead of years. He could still cry. Somehow his tear ducts survived the change. Watching him weep radiation-tainted tears was one of the most disturbing things I've ever witnessed. And I've seen humans melted by plasma fire. We're not the only radiation-changed humans, of course. The children of Atom, those zealots who worship radiation itself. They claim ghouls are blessed, Atom's chosen. They bring us offerings, pray to us like we're saints of the nuclear age. It would be funny if it weren't so twisted. They want what we have, beg us to tell them how to achieve the gift of the eternal glow. I tell them to put a gun in their mouth instead. Quicker, cleaner, and the end result is the same. You stop being human. But sometimes, in my worst moments, I understand their fascination. We are something unprecedented in human history. We are evolution in real time, adaptation at its most extreme. We survived what should have been extinction. We walk through radiation storms that would liquefy your organs. We persist when everything, logic, science, nature itself, says we should have ended. There's a strange beauty in that, isn't there? A terrible, cosmic beauty. I've been thinking about death a lot lately. Real death, I mean. The kind we can still achieve if we try hard enough. Complete incineration works. Burn a ghoul to ash and we don't come back from that. Decapitation, if you destroy the brainstem. A few other methods I won't describe, because I don't want this recording to become a how-to guide for the desperate. The thing is, most of us don't seek it out. Even knowing what waits for us, the feralism, the centuries of pain, the slow dissolution of self, we keep going. Why? I've asked myself that question every day for 200 years. Maybe it's hope. Hope that someone will find a cure, though we all know that's impossible. You can't cure fundamental cellular restructuring. You can't undo nuclear transformation. Maybe it's duty. Someone needs to remember the world before. Someone needs to bear witness to what we lost, what we did to ourselves. We're living history, walking museums of humanity's greatest failure. When the last pre-war ghoul falls, who will remember what grass really looked like? Who will recall the taste of unirradiated water? Or maybe, and this is the thought that terrifies me most, maybe we keep going because we're already dead and just haven't realized it yet. Maybe feralism isn't the loss of humanity, but the final acceptance of what we already are. Corpses, radiation-animated corpses playing at being people. I think about the smoothskins who show us kindness. They're rare, but they exist. There's a doctor in the capital wasteland who treats ghouls the same as anyone else, charges the same, uses the same bedside manner, never flinches when she has to touch us. I asked her once why she bothered. She said, because healing is healing, regardless of how much skin the patient has. I wanted to cry. Couldn't, of course, but the feeling was there. There's a town in the Mojave, Bright's followers call it their promised land, where ghouls tried to build rockets. Actual rockets, to take them to some mythical far beyond where they could be at peace. Most people thought they were insane. Maybe they were. But they launched those rockets, and some say they made it. Others say they just burned up in the atmosphere, finally achieving the complete incineration that ends our suffering. Either way, they chose their ending. That's more than most of us get. I should tell you about the dreams. We still dream, those of us who still sleep. But our dreams are wrong. I dream in radiation green sometimes, everything tinted like looking through irradiated water. I dream of my skin growing back, pink and healthy, only to wake up and feel it sloughing off worse than before. Other ghouls report the same phenomena, dreams of wholeness, of before, so vivid that waking becomes a fresh trauma every single time. The worst dreams are the ones where we're normal, but everyone else is ghoulified, where we're the last smooth skin in a world of rot, running from our own reflections turned inside out. Those dreams mean something, I think, some deep part of our psyche trying to process what we've become by inverting it, making us the outsider, in our own nightmare. Children born after the war don't always fear us. That's something beautiful and terrible at the same time. They see us as part of the world, natural as radstorms and two-headed cattle. A little girl in Megaton once asked if she could touch my face. Her mother nearly yanked her arm off, pulling her away, but I said it was okay. She ran her tiny fingers over the exposed muscle of my cheek and said, "It's warm. You're still warm. Still warm. Still here. Still human enough to feel a child's wonder as both blessing and curse." I'm leaving this recording in all the major settlements, Underworld, Megaton, Rivet City, wherever ghouls and humans intersect. Maybe someone will learn something. Maybe they'll understand that when you see us, you're looking at your possible future. All it takes is the right dose of radiation and the wrong genetic lottery ticket. Or maybe this is just the rambling of another ghoul slowly losing her mind, trying to make sense of senselessness before the fog rolls in completely. My name was Sarah Morrison Chen. I was a teacher before the war, 3rd grade, Roosevelt Elementary, Boston. I had a husband named David and a daughter named Emily. I liked mystery novels and bad coffee and singing in the shower. I was human. I'm still human. Even if I have to remind myself every single day, write it on every surface, carve it into my exposed bones, I'm still human. We all are. Remember that when you see us. Remember that when we go feral. Remember that when you have to put us down. We were people once. We're people still. We're just people who got caught in the space between death and dying, cursed to watch the world move on while we're preserved like insects in atomic amber. If you're listening to this and you're a ghoul, hold on. Hold on as long as you can. Fight the fog, fight the feralism, fight the wasteland that wants to strip away everything you are. And when you can't fight anymore, find someone who will remember your name, your real name, the one from before. That's all any of us can hope for in the end, that someone, somewhere, will remember we were more than monsters. This is Sarah Morrison Chen, 213 years old, signing off. Still warm, still here, still human.